Hello, I hope everybody's having a great day, even though it's a very rainy Friday. My name is Alex Sorolis. If you are a Dufferin Township Library patron, you've probably seen me at the reference desk or at the circulation desk. But now we're going to get into the mystical world of English language acquisition. So without further ado, let's get into everyone loves languages. So, what we covered last week, we went into the different methodologies of greetings. Okay, the reason why we went into this was to work on some of our ability to decipher different ways of starting conversations and then continuing those conversations. So this is a good little tip and trick to use these different 30 ways to say hello and different ways to be asking somebody how they are. It's very good to be able to have a bunch of different ways to do those things while you're having a verbal conversation with another person, or text, email, however you prefer to communicate. Then we went over what is a determiner. And in these determiner ideas, we discovered different things with our articles, our ordinals, our numerals, possessives, quantifiers, demonstratives, and we continue to go over a lot of those, adding them into our conversations. And now, what I want us to look at together, tenses in sentences. Oh, before we go, I want us to make sure we see that quick tip. When you are unsure of using a tense, listen or reread what you're responding to and try to replicate that tense. All right, now we're going to cover present tense. Present tense means that it is currently happening at that moment. So for our simple present, which is the first block on the PowerPoint, for simple present, you have subject plus verb, the first verb, and you add an S or an ES. Okay, so you need to be careful with the subject because the subject may be singular, but you still add an S to that verb. That is what we need to make sure we are doing, and what we need to make sure is the most important, that subject verb agreement, and not to get tricked. So we can see in the first block going across, she reads the book in the library. The subject, she, read, the verb, and then you add that S. So it becomes she reads. Okay, if we just left it as she read the book in the library, it is incorrect grammatically. So that's the problem. We need to make sure that it's all grammatically correct and cohesive. Big word, I know. Next, we have our present continuous tense. And in this one, we have the subject, is, am, are, plus the verb, then you add that ing to the verb. So you have the subject in red. Blue is a helping verb, sometimes also known as a linking verb. And then studying has our ing attached to the verb study. Okay, it's very important that we know which verb is getting that ing. The action verb receives that ing ending. So now the subject, I am studying in high school. Now let's head over to the present perfect. All right. In present perfect, what we have here, we have the subject, and we all remember what subjects are because we discussed those at the beginning of last week. Subjects are I, me, he, she, it. Those are just some of the examples. I'm not going to take time to go through all of our subjects that could possibly be. So then what we have present perfect, subject plus has, have, plus verb 3. Okay, so we still have that 2-verb system. And if you follow that from present continuous down to present perfect, we still have the 2 verbs, but the difference is has, have are helping verbs. And then verb 3, V3, is the action, okay? So he, subject, has had, have is the helping. Then made is the action. All right, he had made this colorful chart. Okay, then present perfect continuous. This is our last present tense that we're going to go over on this page. Subject plus has slash have been. You have to add that been with it, okay? Plus your action verb with the ing, and you also need to add in a since or a for, all right? This is to add that time frame in for your present perfect continuous, okay? She has been working there since 2017. We have that she's working there starting in 2017, and it is continuing to happen. She still works there, is what present perfect continuous example sentence is telling us. So what I would like all of you to do right now is pause the video, and I want, when you pause the video, listen to all my instructions, you're going to write down different examples of simple present tense, only one, simple continuous tense needs an example as well, only one. Present perfect needs an example written by you, only one. Present perfect continuous, only one example. So for all 4 of these present tense is, what I would like you to do is write me a sentence using the tenses we just went over. When you have completed that, I would like you to check your work on the page, look at my examples to see if yours match up, and then we are going to move on to the next, and you can then press play. Alrighty, and get after it. Go ahead. Now that you finished up with your present tense, let's get into some past tense. All right, so our past tense stuff is a bit similar. However, there are different shifts in our verbs, and we're going to go over some of those. So, as you can see, going down that first column, we have the exact same type of a pattern as we did with our present tenses. Now let's start off with the top column, row, simple past. Simple past is, as it says, quite simple and easy, so hopefully this will make sense. We start out with the subject, and then we go into the verb, okay, or the irregular verb. We usually add an ed at the end, so you can see at the end of our verb, which is completed, there's an ed at the end signifying that it is in the past tense. That signals you, lets you know that it is in the past tense. He completed the assignment. That's letting you know, that's letting you hear that this assignment has been completed. It's already done, okay? Now, let's get into some past continuous. in this case, we start out with our subject. Great, we have our subject. Then we go into was or were, helping verbs, past tense helping verbs in this case, because we're going to add an action verb with an ing at the end. Okay, so our example, he was reading that book, is saying, yes, this gentleman was reading that book. I'm not sure, he still might be reading that book. Okay, he was reading it, he could still be reading it. That's bringing in that continuous aspect. Okay, now let's look at past perfect. So you have subject, you have your helping verb, which is had, and then you have your verb, your action. He had finished, notice that ed at the end of finished, his work. Okay, so we see that ed again at the end of our action verb, but as we get into past perfect continuous, we go back into ing for our action verb. So it's interesting because if you look at the chart, we start off with putting an ed at the end of the action verb, then you go into putting an ing, then you put an ed for perfect, past perfect, then for past perfect continuous, where we now are, we have another ing. So a lot of patterns that we get to notice as we are doing our tense work. Alrighty, so let's get to past perfect continuous, which we have our subject, and now we get to get into two helping verbs, had and been. Okay, the had can change into has, have, had. Okay, been is going to stay been. And then our verb, action verb with ing this time around is playing. All right, subject, I had been playing football since the morning. And of course, I mean American football. If I meant European football, of course I'd have to say soccer. So that is what we have for past tense. What I want us to do, the same as the first go around, I want us to write an example sentence for simple past, an example sentence for past continuous, a third example sentence for past perfect, and then a fourth example sentence for past perfect continuous. So you're going to go ahead and do that. You're going to put this video on pause. And then once you have your 4 sentences, you're going to check your work against the examples on my PowerPoint. Once you have checked that and made sure that you made all the proper corrections, you're going to press play and continue on with our video. You got it. Alrighty, now that we're done with past tense, let's focus on the future. So, again, we have a very similar type of pattern in our tenses. We start out with simple, moving into continuous, moving into perfect, and then moving into perfect continuous. Something very important for us to notice. All right. Now, what we're going to go over is future simple. So let's go back up to the top of my chart and head on with that simple future column. So, subject plus will or shall. Most of the time it's going to be will. In my example, I use shall because I'm fun that way. And then we have our action verb, go. Okay, so we see that we need our subject. In my sentence example, yes, I do have a subject. Then in will, shall, Do I have a will or shall helping verb? I do. And then we go to the action verb because we can't have a sentence without an action verb. Yes, no, we can't because then what would be happening? So let's continue in our work. And we see I shall go to the park for a walk. I shall go, meaning I'm going to go. It's gonna happen, but it's not happening right this second. In the future. In the future, it's happening. On this rainy day, I would sure love to go for a luxurious walk in the park. All right, to continue. Haha, because we're on future continuous. So we have our subject, will, shall, and be are all together. So we have two helping verbs coming together. And then we have the same thing with our verb plus ing ending. So he will be playing football. So he will be playing football. We don't know if he has been playing football, but we know that he will be. That's why this is continuous, because it's still happening. Okay? Anything continuous normally has that still happening tense of continuous. Okay? Now what I want us to move on into is future perfect. So let's go down to that third column, third spot in the column, first column, and then across future perfect, we have subject plus would plus a verb. There's no ending. Okay? So I said I would leave in 1 hour. Leave is left in the infinitive. It is not conjugated or has been made to be conjugated. It is just left how it would be used in the present tense. Okay? So I said I would leave in 1 hour. Then we have our future perfect continuous. And in that area, the last row, we have subject, will have, plus been, because you know you can't have too many helping verbs with you, right? So then we also have, we'll do it this way. And then we have our last one, and that is our verb plus ing. So we're back to the ing, and let's go over this fun sentence. I, subject, will have, plus been, watching the TV for 10 minutes. I will have been watching the TV for 10 minutes, meaning I could have been watching the TV for 40 minutes. Or I could continue to be watching the TV. I could have watched the TV in the past. We're not sure which way it's being continuous, but it's continuous. Alrighty, and so notice again, we have a very similar pattern. In the simple future and the future perfect, both verbs are in the infinitive form. No INGs are added on. Future continuous and future perfect have INGs continued on there, okay? So it's another pattern for us to notice. What we are going to do now, you guys are going to write me an example for simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. So that's 4 sentences that I would like you guys to do next. And what I want you to do after you finish your sentences is, of course, go back into my PowerPoint and check to see if you have done the correct tense work with the future tense. And what you're going to do now is pause me so that I don't keep going on and on and on. All right, so go ahead for future tense. Awesome job. All righty, everyone. So this is where I'm going to give you guys a little bit of fun to end class with. Okay, one of my favorite things to do with my English language learners is to work on our idioms. Okay, so what I like to do most is bring them up on display. Our first one is chatterbox, bookworm, party animal, then at the bottom, couch potato, and shopaholic. So I'm going to give you all 30 seconds, pause me. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to come up with what you think each one of the 5 idioms mean. Alrighty, on our marks, get set, go. Pause me. Time. Alrighty, now let's get into some pictures of what they could mean. So next to our chatterbox, there's a little Miss Chatterbox on some sort of phone. Maybe that's a little hint of what it means. And then next to bookworm is a worm reading a book. Is that what we're actually meaning? Is that the English that seems correct to us? Then we have party animal. And of course, you have a nice little puppy with a microphone, with a little hat on, little bow tie. Fabulous. Because that's totally what it means. Or is it? And then, as we go down into the gray, we have couch potato. Is that referring to somebody leaving a big potato on a couch with, I think, a bag of Cheetos or Takis? I don't think so. I don't know. What do you guys think? And then we have shopaholic. So, a very well-dressed woman with a bunch of shopping bags. What do we think these could mean? Okay, based on your first thought and these pictures, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds more to re-choose or to refine what you originally thought the meaning for these idioms are. So, 30 seconds on the clock. Let's see. You may pause me if you need to. I'm still gonna do the 30 seconds and go. Time. Alrighty, let's see who was correct. All right, so a chatterbox is a person who talks a lot. Based on this video, I feel kind of like a chatterbox. Then, bookworm. As a librarian, I find myself to be a bookworm, and it is a person who reads a lot. Then we have party animal, and that is someone who attends parties often or who likes to attend parties often. If you have children in college or are in college, we're in college, that's when we would normally use party animal, hopefully. Then, couch potato. a person who spends a lot of time lazing around. Someone who just doesn't get off the couch, maybe is playing video games and just playing and watching TV all day on the couch. Then you have shopaholic, a person who enjoys very much, who isn't able to control his or her spending. So this person likes to buy a lot of things. Okay, so before I let you guys go, what I want you to try to do, I want you to use each one of these idioms in a sentence, and we're going to go over those sentences next week at the beginning of class. All right, so I'll leave you with my verbal sentences that I created, which for a chatterbox is, my mom is such a chatterbox that she will talk to everyone in the grocery store and we won't leave for 5 hours. A bookworm. That's a hard one, but let's see. As a person who likes to read mystery novels, I felt like a bookworm as I read through all of Ruth Ware's literature. Now let's do party animal. Party animal. I am not a party animal. I hate loud noises and going to places with loud music. Couch potato. My nephew is the biggest couch potato on the planet. All he does is sit down on the couch and eat and play video games all day. Not true, I have no idea. And then shopaholic. This one might be true. All right. During this lockdown and quarantine, I have become quite the online shopaholic and continue to spend money, and it's fine with me. All right, so I'm going to have you guys do some sentences for homework. Only 5 sentences. You're doing 1 for chatterbox, 1 for bookworm, 1 for party animal, 1 for couch potato, and 1 for shopaholic. All right, I hope you guys had a great time and enjoyed class. I hope that everybody will come next week when we are back virtually. And don't forget to subscribe to Tredyffrin Township Libraries on social media, YouTube, Instagram at Tredy Library and at Paoli Library. And always remember, happy reading.